Hello and welcome to the introduction to Foglight Synthetic Monitor for Internet. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is the delivery model. So the Foglight Synthetic Monitor for Internet is a combination of an on-premise, a SaaS, and a plug-in. Now the on-premise part is the Foglight Management Server. For those of you who don't know, the Foglight Management Server is a platform, and the platform you can install cartridges that will monitor your applications, your databases, your networks, or your end users. So the Foglight Management Server is a prerequisite, and you have to have the specific cartridge that supports Foglight Synthetic Monitor for Internet. So that's the on-premise piece. Now off-premise we have a provisioning portal. So this is a service where you'll deploy your transactions, and your transactions will be able to be provisioned to the 80+ beacon sites that we have. And then the Quest Click Recorder, this is the piece where you'll be able to use a plugin to a Firefox browser, and you'll be able to record a transaction that you want played back from the 80 beacons. So all of these pieces are what gives you the synthetic monitoring capability inside of Foglight. Okay, there's over 80 locations across the world, and these locations are a combination of both regular backbone providers and also over-the-air providers, so that you can test some of the wireless connections. So there's two different paths you'll come in as. So basically you're going to be two different users. You're going to be a script recording and provisioning user. In that case you would use the plugin, and then you would be able to deploy your saved scripts to the synthetic provisioning portal. From there you can set up your parameters, like how frequently you want to play the script back, and then which locations you want to select to play them back from. So again, you can choose a geographic location along with the provider at each of those locations. Now the other way you'll be coming in is through the Foglight Management Server. Now when you're as a Foglight user, you'll be able to use and view the interfaces and also make minor changes to any of the scripts that you've already provisioned through your recorder. And basically this is the demo that I'm going to show you today. Is we're going to come in through the Foglight interface and go ahead and show you how that works. So I'm going to log in as Foglight, and again this is the on-premise software that we have. So this is already installed with the on-premise software, and I've also installed the Synthetic Monitor for Internet cartridge. Now there's two different directories on here. I'm just going to go briefly through the administration with you before we jump into the data. So the first thing people have to do is they have to create an account, and this account gives you permission to use the SaaS. So right now my account is ISTest, and this is collecting data from the provisioning portal, which I showed you earlier in the block diagram. Now if I come back to my administration home, after I create that user will have an account, and that account has credits. Basically these credits let you play back transactions from different locations, and as those playbacks occur you'll burn down on this credit balance. For example, I started with 20,000 credits, and I used 11,486 of those credits, so I have 8,513 left. And it'll give you a lot of reporting in here on these credits and how they're being consumed, which scripts they're being consumed by as well. Now if I wanted to, I could just upload a key. I could purchase additional credits, upload a key, and that'll replenish my balance. Okay, the next piece I just want to make brief mention of on the administrative side is the synthetic transactions. Now these are the transactions that you would have saved with a recording. So I made 4 transactions for this demonstration, and what you're able to do is change these settings. For example, I've saved Amazon for training. I saved that script, and if I view the detail I can see where that script is being played from. I can see how often it's being played back every 30 minutes, and then I could also see what my charge is. So I'm using 192 credits per day. Now if I wanted to, I can edit this, and I could say instead of every my playback interval is every 30 minutes, I can go ahead and change that to every 60 minutes, and what you'll see is this 192 should change. So when I save that, it's gonna recalculate my daily costs to 96 credits, and if I wanted to, I can go ahead and deploy that right now, and that would save my changes. I could also change my playback locations, so I'd be able to add a location onto this if I wanted to. So it's pretty easy to come in and re-provision these as needed, depending on demand. So I could record additional scripts, and any management can be done from here. Now the data that you'll get, the end result, is when you'll be able to come in and you'll be able to click on Foglight Performance, And then what you'll be able to do is look at the different classifications of synthetic transactions that you recorded. For example, if I go to Amazon.com, I've recorded a bunch of scripts here, and this is the user interface that you have. So I can look at two perspectives. Perspective one is I can look at my transaction. In this case, for Amazon.com, I've recorded 3 transactions, and I'm looking at the summary of those 3 transactions. Alternatively, what I could do is I could drill down on the Amazon test, and I could see that there's a high response time from Atlanta, Georgia at 11:15, and I'd be able to drill down and get details on that test. Now the other perspective I can look at is locations. So what's interesting here is that you can see if a specific location is problematic for all of my transactions, then you know it's probably a network problem. As opposed to transactions where if only one transaction is having problems, then it's more than likely an application related issue. So right now I'll go back to locations, and also you can drill down on a specific location and it'll give you the details on that one location. So let's go ahead now and look at a step deeper on a specific transaction that we saw. This Amazon test is currently having a high response time from Atlanta, Georgia. So we can click on that and get more details on that high response time, and it'll say that my current threshold is 5 seconds and I'm currently seeing 5.22 seconds. So one thing, I could come in here and diagnose the issue, or alternatively what I could do is I can click on Explore and I can look at all of the details for the transaction. So right now you can see that the Amazon test, it did complete successfully, but I do have that warning at 11:09. So I can click on my 11:09, and this is the individual instance. So now instead of being at the overall transaction, I'm at one instance that played back at 11:09. And these are the individual steps in the instance. So I can see the one step that took the longest was the first one when I was going to the initial page. And these are all the corresponding endpoints for that one page. Now what I can do is I can click on that one page to get additional detail about the page. So these are all the endpoints that I saw on the prior page, but now I have the ability to expand this, and I could expand the one that took the longest. So if I look at all of these different components, this is the one that took the longest, and as I open that up, it'll show me the details on each one of those steps. Okay, so now the component on that page that took 886 milliseconds, the component that was the longest appears to be one of these images right here. Okay, so this is a way to quickly drill down, and I purposely set the threshold low so we don't have a big problem here, but you can see the bytes, you can see how long the DNS lookup time. So any problems that this transaction would incur would show up on this list. Okay, so that's just a quick example of the capabilities of the Foglight Synthetic Monitor for Internet. Thank you very much for attending.